is the campus, the smart campus. Really interesting story. Gerry Hamilton is the Director of Facilities Energy Management at Stanford University. Gerry, I'm going to ask you to come a little closer into frame with me.
Of course.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful.
It's a great treat.
You and I were just getting a moment to talk, and what I love about your story is that it challenges some of the assumptions that get generated at a show like this. So first and foremost, how long have you been doing what you are doing at Stanford?
I've been at Stanford for 6 years,
Okay.
and I've been fortunate to work with our building controls group as well as our energy management team. So we've seen a lot of large energy retrofit projects, energy incentive programs. It's been a great opportunity to both control energy efficiency and improve it.
So how many years ago did you begin to start to go, okay, it's time for us to get into the big data of this. It's time for us to really take over the controls of all the buildings. When was the genesis of the let's really go for it type of feeling come from?
Well, I would say as soon as I started, and my colleagues had been thinking about big data for a while.
Yeah.
But we were coming at it from the top down, and that basically meant we were going to use a lot of muscle. We were going to go retrofit a lot of control systems. We were going to invest a lot of money and resources into databases and analytics. And we started down that path, and we hit a lot of hurdles. And
what were some
I
of
got
those
frustrated.
hurdles?
Well, it takes a lot to completely upgrade control systems to state of the art of what you want.
Sure.
And that's what we wanted. We were engineers. We had good engineers working on our team. And it wasn't until recently that we decided, you know what we have is good enough. Let's focus on what we want. What we want is the data. And we don't need all the data. We just need the data that we currently have, and we can do some amazing things with it. So that realization really came about within the last year.
So, because I think this is fascinating. Everyone who watches this, everyone involved here, we look at these solutions, we say, oh, we're going to start this top-down process. We're going to get granular down to the, down to the penny, down to the centigrade on everything, and rip out everything.
Exactly.
And it's exciting. It sounds exciting, but truthfully, it may not be practical, and it may be too much. It may be putting a hat on a hat, when really just the bare essentials may be all you need to run a safe, smart, effective, and energy-efficient campus.
The other thing we realized is a smart campus involves everyone. It's not just your building controls group. It's not just your IT department. It's not just some of your senior facilities management folks. It's everyone. So everyone has a stake in this, and you're not going to make great improvements until you have everyone on board. It's just organizational politics, alignment. It's human psychology. And you need some early wins. You need some visibility. And they use that term in the industry, visibility of the data. But we need some visibility of some results that folks can share in, enjoy, and then ask the question, what can we do next? And maybe at the end of the line, we say, what's that last thing we can do? Well, we can go ahead and put the world's greatest control systems in those last 2 buildings.
Right.
So that's kind of the end of the journey, not the beginning. So we had to change the way we were thinking and really address the people and process side to get over some of these initial hurdles.
So if someone was in the position, in a similar position to what you were in 5 or 6 years ago, instead of starting by this gigantic rethinking of the entire mission, you might say to them, what would be one early first thing they could do to get a big win off the top that doesn't require a complete rethinking or reinvention of the wheel?
Well, I'll tell you what we've learned just within the last year is you start with your people and process, identify some current problems that seemingly may have nothing to do with smart technology.
Right.
And one of the examples we have internally is I've got my controls team working with our university IT team. And we addressed data security, network security. That's what got us together. And it took about a year. It was a lot of hard work. We came up with some solutions. But in the process, getting these 2 teams together, we identified new opportunities. network IT would ask, well, why do you have servers in every building? We could host these, we could put them on a cloud, we could put them in a cluster, and we could do it securely.
Wow.
And the controls engineers were able to ask back, well, I'm concerned about alarming and I need life safety considerations here. Can we address that? I don't know, let's think about that. Maybe we'll develop a unique network architecture for this. It got the creative juices flowing, and so now that the network security issues have been addressed for today, at least. It never goes away, right?
Right.
But now we're working on new projects, new initiatives, and basically what we're creating with that team is a very robust, very scalable, very reliable smart campus network infrastructure. And we did some similar things related to people and process. We look at fault detection diagnostics. We did a pilot years ago. It took a lot of time to get it on board, a long time to maintain it. No one was really using it properly. So it wasn't until we brought together all of the senior facilities management staff and said, how are we going to use this? What are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to control costs. We're trying to save energy. We're trying to ensure that teaching and research is being conducted in safe, friendly, welcoming environments. Okay, let's put some metrics around that. And how can we invite technology in to help us instead of trying to respond to a sea of technology coming in just because it can? And so we've made a lot of progress in terms of defining what's the difference between alarms and who responds to alarms, what's the difference between alerts and other intelligence, and getting the right information to the right people. And now the technology helps us do what we've been doing for 100 plus years at Stanford University. It gets more people involved, more people excited about the technology, and keeps us focused.
That's terrific. So talk to me about more ways of getting people involved, because it really seems like that was the key. Instead of, you might have started off very top down, but by asking questions of different departments. Did you do that? Did you almost do some surveys and just reach out to different departments, say, what's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest challenge?
Well, one thing we did is we created a steering committee that consists of senior staff across the entire operation organization, and we were able to bring those issues to the table. So one trade shop, maybe their primary concern is controlling hours related to reactive calls,
right,
and optimally planning preventative maintenance. And so they said, I'd love to have some tool that would help me with predictive maintenance.
Right.
Can I do that? Well, that's good input. Now, my team has traditionally been focused on energy savings, and we knew fault detection can help us there.
Right.
What else can we do? Well, another team responsible for capital renewal planning. They said, it would be nice if we could extend the life of capital equipment. So instead of replacing it in 10 years, if it can go 15 because we don't blow it up,
right,
because of a failed bearing or something. So we did start documenting these drivers, and they overlapped quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you can identify a motor that's starting to go bad, you can save some energy. You can, prevent a capital piece of equipment from being completely lost. And if we can, allocate our staff time, deploy them to the field only when they have to go to the field, enable remote triage and correction, and it actually enables the organization to be aligned more efficiently.
Yes.
So it actually does address kind of that fundamental organizational question of how much staff do you need, what training do they need to have. And if you look at it that way, it's very positive. Instead of, oh my goodness, we have a brand new lighting system that no one's ever used in the world, who's going to support this? This is a labor crisis.
Right.
So instead of having it a crisis, now it's an opportunity, it's liberating. We have a long way to go still,
sure,
but we have a new paradigm to address the smart campus. We've got some wind in our sails again.
That's great, Gerry.
6 years ago we started, we got overwhelmed with technology, we've turned it upside down, and I dare say it's fun again.
Yeah.
Which is good.
That's just terrific, and I think you're bringing to us and everyone watching this at home an interesting concept, which is that smart campuses don't begin with technology. They don't begin with buildings. They begin with listening to the people in those buildings, really listening to their needs, identifying, creating sort of a co-founding of cooperation, and only then can you really begin to start an initiative? Because if you don't do that, you've got people who have a lighting system they didn't want, they're being forced to adopt it. But this, what you're talking about, is the human element of the smart campus.
Yeah, it not only are we bringing technology together and data together, the big data, done right, it actually brings the people together as well. And that's uplifting regardless of what year it is.
I think Stanford is very lucky to have you, and I am delighted that you shared your wisdom with us here at Realcomm.
Great, Gerry, I sure appreciate it.
Thank you, Gerry. Okay, Gerry Hamilton, Director of Facilities Energy Management.